Happy Monday, everybody. Y'all, I am genuinely so excited for today because this is like such a great blessing to me and to you, because just recently on my Instagram, I was like, who do you want to see on the podcast? And over and over and over again, it was like the band CAIN. And I was like, okay, I got to get these people on the podcast. Then I saw that CAIN was coming through Monroe, Louisiana. And so not only did I get them on the podcast, but they are here in the studio. Yes, I'm so excited. And we had to point out the obvious. We are missing your brother.
Yep.
Yes.
But it's fine because we're just as funny.
Y'all are.
We're better without him.
Fired him this morning.
Well, actually, it's kind of funny because you would think that he would not be here because he has like a 5-day-old, but that's not even why he's not here. He was still going to be here with that.
Yes. So Logan, his stomach is hurting, and that is probably. I mean, he's got a stomach bug.
He's got a stomach bug.
Hey, we are
trying to figure out. We have a show to perform in maybe 3 hours or so.
I'm nervous for y'all because they're almost as desperate as to get me on stage with them. Yeah. So I was just telling them, I was like, look, they're like, do you sing? I'm like, my singing career has taken some really high highs and some really low lows. Yeah, you know, like, so I was just trying to explain to them. I had 2 hit songs, okay?
Oh, wow.
One was on the multi-platinum Duck the Halls Christmas album.
We own it.
Where I sang Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Away in a Manger, which was pretty strong.
Really strong.
Yeah. So y'all go check that out. Christmas is upon you. And then I was on this song with Anthem Lights, Just Be You. But then it took a nosedive. Okay, after my 2 successes, I decided I think I can do this. Like, I've had 2 great hits. Yeah. Now I'm gonna do my own stuff.
Okay.
This is when my singing career ended, is because I tried to record this song. I was just telling them this story that, and if you've read I think I wrote this in the Live book because it was so embarrassing to me. I had to make it into a message because I was like, the only redemption in this story is if there's something positive that I can say to someone else to help them through when they fail. So I was singing this all day long. My producer's trying to help me, and all of a sudden, and we're just not getting anywhere. And I'm just thinking, you know, maybe, I guess I'm just a little pitchy. Like, I'm just going to do it one more time. And surely this is normal. And then about an hour and a half, 2 hours into the day of recording over and over and over again, he tells me, Sadie, are you hearing the clicks? And I was explaining to them that I told him yes, and I'm trying to tune it out because it's very distracting to me. And he said, you know, that's trying to keep you on time, which is clearly the problem because you have not been on time one time in the past 2 hours, which really, I don't even know how. I think that's actually even more impressive.
It's actually, it's like a talent to be able to go against.
Yeah, your body, you're rejecting. It's trying to keep you, and you're like, no, I'm living original. I am
in the moment. I'm living original.
I am originally not doing this.
That's out of here in my mind. And so, anyways, I ended up doing it so many times. And at the end of the day, I asked him, you know, how many times do most artists come in here and do things? And he said maybe about 8, 10, 12. You know, make sure we have it. I was like, yeah, right on. How many times did I do it? And he said 211 takes. And that was about 211 face plants in front of him. And so that's where I stopped.
Okay.
So all I'd say, I don't think I'll join you on stage tonight unless you're really desperate.
Okay, well.
Listen, you can avoid all those clicks. It'll be in your ear, but you just tune them out.
Yeah.
And you just sing Rise Up.
I'll just look at y'all.
Whenever you want.
Okay,
you go.
We're a unique show. Yeah.
We're a unique show. Y'all are hilarious. So we're already having so much fun. I'm so glad y'all are here. So for those listening who are so excited to hear from y'all, I know y'all have a lot going on. So y'all are on tour right now.
Yes.
And your brother did just have a 5-day-old or like a week old baby.
Yes.
But y'all have y'all's kids out on the road too, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what does this look like?
Oh my gosh.
It's fun. We're always looking, churches that we play, they always have playgrounds. And
nurseries.
So we love that.
That's
like touring
fun.
churches. Yeah, that's really fun.
Some people may be curious, like, how do you have all these infants on a moving bus? And I want people to know that they're not just rolling around in an open bus. So the back part of the bus we have transformed into a bedroom and bassinet for Logan, his wife Emily, and their 5-day-old Rosie.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's another door, and then there's a set of 6 bunks, which is River, their 1.5-year-old, my 1-year-old son, me and my husband. another door, and then Taylor and her husband, and
my
their
1-year-old.
Wow.
There, so
we've got 4
I'm
kids.
so inspired because I used to tour a lot, and then
Yes.
when I started having kids, I stopped touring, and then I haven't said this anywhere, but I think I'm going to be doing some stuff touring
Good.
next year. But it's just I've been thinking, okay, this is going to be really fun, but how do you tour with kids like that? And so watching y'all do this is actually really cool and inspiring me. That's
thank
awesome.
you.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I felt. That was kind of a huge barrier to us being willing to have kids, because I just felt we were just getting going and what we were doing, and it felt like I couldn't even process, do I want to have a family, because I just felt like it was one or the other. And so God really is big enough, if he's called you to something, to make a way because he cares about your family.
Yeah.
So I can't believe that they're out
I
with
feel
us.
like what I'm learning is like the anxiety of it is worse than when you're actually in it.
That's so true.
Because Stevie came out with me last year, and she was like 3 weeks old, and I just was like, this is a dumb decision, but I'm already locked in. Like, we have to tour. You can't cancel anything. So, yeah, I think, and then everybody around you, you surround yourself with great people who are like, you can do it. And then you just do it. And then you're going to be like, I feel so proud of myself whenever I'm like, we're doing it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, the kids sleep really good. That's awesome. I think the bus helped with that.
The hot water broke on the bus, and so we have some nannies out with us to help during the show.
Yeah.
And so they got a tea kettle, and they filled up a little inflatable bathtub with bath water.
So sweet.
And so that's a kind of stuff.
Funny memories.
Yes,
Yeah, that's cool. I love
How many
that.
states have the kids been in since
At
they've
least
been born?
40.
Oh my
Well, I
gosh.
know.
That's so cool. Like, how special. And that's what I was just telling Christian. I'm like, how special that we'll look back and see all those places. And I even think about that with pregnancy with Honey and Haven.
Yeah.
And I saw y'all actually at the Caleb Awards whenever y'all were pregnant.
Oh,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was just really cool because, I mean, I was just telling my friend the other day, she was on my podcast and she was pregnant, and she was like, oh my gosh, because now that it's come out, she's already had the baby, and she's looking back at her 9-month pregnant self and like, I'm so embarrassed. She's like, my voice sounded like a 13-year-old going through puberty. And like,
so
I was out of breath. I said, it is very vulnerable to put yourself out in front of people when you're pregnant.
Yes.
It really is.
Yeah.
But then, like, you're so proud of yourself, and you look back and you're like, I got to do that with Honey. I got to do it with Haven. And like, you know, it's really special. And I see that in y'all. And I think I love what you both said, because I do think a lot of it is the anxiety about it is worse than actually doing it. And so many moms struggle with that. Like, we have a lot of moms listening to this show who struggle with that going back to work and just thinking through how all it's going to happen. And I do think the anxiety about it's the worst part, because once you just do it and you just figure it out as you go, and you know, you're a mom, you're equipped to make the best decision for you and your family. And like you said, like, if God has given you a call in your life, he's going to equip you and take care of you and your family. And one thing that's been such an encouragement to me, so LO conference this year, I was just like leaning in, because I was like, hey God, I know like you're speaking to everyone here, but like I need you to speak to me in these moments too. So I was just like sitting there in worship, and I was asking God, like, God, just tell me that like you have my kids, you know, like if I'm doing all of this, that you got my kids, you know, because I don't want to be the mom that's like gone or whatever, and them to feel like I want them to feel involved and in it and all those things. And I just felt like the Lord kind of highlighted in my mind how many times I've read in the Bible, in the Old Testament, especially whenever he was introduced as, I am the God, he introduced himself, I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. And I was like, you know what? That's so cool that God introduced himself as like the God of the generations. Like, it's like, I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Like, I'm all of their God. Like, I'm the God of this family. And I just think about that for our families, and for those who are listening, like, he's not just your God, your father. He's the God of like, you know, Corey, Sadie, Honey, Haven. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so cool to think about that, and just hearing y'all is just so encouraging. And I know that's going to encourage so many moms. So way to do it, y'all.
Thank you.
Yes.
So we did a VIP event 2 weeks ago, and I got so derailed because a mom asked me a question. She was like, I see how much you guys are doing. How do you balance being a mom and doing all this? And I didn't just start crying in a way that was like choking up. I couldn't speak for the rest of the thing. And every time I come back to it, I kept, because I had already felt like the past few days that Cal did not get the best of me. I felt like he was getting my scraps, and so it was just one of those things where now that I'm sorry, hormones or something, but I just thought it was so funny. She's asking a really normal question, and I was just like, I just tell him just sobbing and tears streaming anyway. So, but it's such a real feeling, the guilt,
those emotions,
the guilt of not being there. But when you think about your own childhood, you love seeing your mom laugh and be happy. You love seeing her involved and doing other things. So
it's so
there's room for all of it. But it's not necessarily just all the times that she sat and played with you, which she did, but I also loved watching her live.
So many of you have heard this story, some of you haven't, but about a year ago, we went through a major emergency with our daughter, Honey. It was horribly scary, and thank God we're a year past it. She's great, we're great, but y'all, that was a really hard time of our life, and the truth is, life happens, and we do our best to prepare for anything life throws at us, but sometimes you just can't prepare for things like that, but we can prepare in the ways that we can, and that's where Samaritan Ministries can help. They're a healthcare sharing network connecting Christians across America who care for one another spiritually and financially during times when encouragement and support is needed the most. I just honestly love this. I know you're going to love it too. You can actually join today and start healthcare sharing with Samaritan Ministries as soon as your application is finished, or you can choose a future date. Once you join, you'll be a part of a Christian community, and if you have a medical need, fellow members send money directly to you for medical bills. You'll have the opportunity also to do the same for other people, all while also praying and encouraging one another. So this is just a major win. Plus, there are no network restrictions because who wants to worry about networks and paperwork during an emergency? Not fun. Honestly, we had to go through all that and it was not fun. So you can get the care that's best for you and your family from doctors you trust. That's so important for families because when it comes to the people we love the most, we definitely want what's best for them and we can help give that. Prayer and encouragement and financial support from fellow believers. This is what biblical healthcare sharing looks like. And it can be more affordable than what you're paying now. So visit SamaritanMinistries.org/woe to learn more. Again, that's SamaritanMinistries.org/woe and join today. And you're so proud of your mom. Like for me, I learned so much from my mom and, she was gone doing all these things. And I'm like, think it's so cool, and I got to learn from her and she welcomed me into a lot of that. And now she has helped me do everything that I'm doing and all those things. So it really is a cool thing. And we had someone on the podcast one time, Dr. Amen. I don't know if y'all heard of him, but he is so smart. And he was basically telling me, because I asked him about mom guilt, and he said, he was talking about how the worst thing you can do for your kid is parent out of guilt, because it's confusing to the kid. Oh, and also he was like, if you're parenting out of guilt, then you're not going to actually be making the best decisions because you'll be like, oh, well, I wasn't here all day, so you can have whatever you want, and that's not good parenting. And he said the best thing you can do for your kid is be a confident parent. And so come home from work, tell them about your day that you had, tell them about your job, tell them about the fun things that you did. And then parent well, don't parent out of guilt. And I just thought that is really good because I think sometimes even as a mom doing stuff, you almost feel like you should feel guilty or you need to feel guilty for not being there during the day. But it's like, no, I'm going to be confident because I know where I'm at is providing for my family. And also doing the things we're doing is making the world a better place for our kids, and bringing this joy. And I mean, y'all's music is just so fun. But I have to say, speaking of crying, I was listening to y'all's album this morning and the 10 to 2 song, I was like, oh my God. Oh my gosh.
Why did you skip it? I
was like, okay, I'm just not going to listen to that right now. And then I went on Google, I was like, 10 to 2 lyrics. I was like, I'm going to read it. I'm just going to, and then I was like, okay, still crying. It's actually worse now that I'm getting the fullness of this. That was so good. Oh my gosh. Okay, we gotta talk about y'all's music. I mean, I literally have so much I feel like I want to talk to you about because we became friends really quickly, just y'all walking in the door. But how did this band even get started? How did this happen? I know y'all are siblings, but when did y'all go, oh, let's sing together?
It's kind of perfect that it's just us here today because we actually were like, oh, wow, we harmonized together really good as kids. And so Logan was not in the picture.
Did y'all, did he sing or?
No, he really didn't. Logan's a drummer. That's how he started out. Cool. Logan played the drums and we all play instruments and stuff, but it honestly wasn't until college.
And so my now husband was Logan's best friend in 8th grade. Oh, that's cool. And so they would have a little music MySpace and they would do little YouTube MySpace. And so they did YouTube videos. So Logan, that was my first time knowing that Logan could sing because he didn't sing around us. Yeah. And so we would play little one time we played like a trailer park wedding, me and Taylor singing I Hope You Dance. And you know what I mean?
Awesome.
So that's sort of all it was until we got to college and we all chose to live together and go to college together just because we do everything together. And we were just singing and we started singing this Adele song. Never mind, I'll find someone. And we started just falling into this harmony and it was kind of like,
it was almost like we knew what we sounded like, but then Logan in there, it was like, okay, is this good? I was like, it sounds kind of good.
It wasn't until college that we started doing just, playing at a sandwich shop or, things here and there. And we entered this competition to open for Dave Barnes. So I don't know if you even know, he's a big songwriter and someone that we were a big fan of.
Yeah.
And at the time, this was country, right?
Yes.
That I read. Okay.
Yes. And really, it was nothing because we were just figuring this out. We didn't have a band name. We win this competition with our one little YouTube video. And so that gave us the confidence to be like, let's give this a shot. And our grandfather worked in country music publishing. And he said, hey, I can help you guys in country. This is this is the way in. So that's sort of how it started.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then Madison and I moved to Nashville and we were just, how it is where you have to work multiple jobs and just, you're trying to do music on the side, like whatever. So I feel like we learned so much good stuff when we were there. Yeah. Like, we didn't know how to write a song. There's things that you have to go through.
Yeah.
And so, we spent a solid 5 years just trying to learn how to write songs, recording all the 211 takes that it takes to, like, make music.
Yes. And it turned into primarily us singing in bars to make money.
Yeah.
And so it felt like, we're pursuing music. And then it was kind of turned into, we're just a cover band trying to make money. Yeah. And we're not really on a career path anymore.
It almost felt like we were the last ones to notice it too. And like back in your hometown, you could almost be like, coming soon. And like keep people like,
we're doing music.
But like the biggest thing was like, oh man, I think we're going to have to move back home and like just say that we failed. Because it's just not like, how long can you do this?
Yeah.
How long can you pursue something? And so we finally, it sounds so cliche, but we decided, the three of us, we were like, we're going to go to church. Because we had missed going to church for, roughly 5 years. Because every show, you're just driving all over.
Yeah.
And even touring as Christian, whatever, you still, if you don't make priority to go to church, you won't go because you're traveling.
You're gone
to your
and
destination.
yes.
Yeah. So we went back to church and we didn't even say that we did music. We just wanted to like, let's go back because we were so just tired,
just beat down, and honestly a little bit embarrassed of like, I do music, and then you see the opportunities drive up and you're like, you see the opportunities dry up and you realize that, okay, maybe I'm not even that good at music. So
and when you have like a strong foundation, our parents are awesome. They're still pastors of a church back home. And
that's cool.
When comparison and when the lies of the enemy come up and you have great people around you, you're able to fight those off. But when you have three people who are dealing with the same emptiness and you just kind of run out, you can't prop each other up anymore. It was like,
y'all are all just discouraged.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
were y'all was your band name CAIN at the time?
We went through some. So this is why I didn't notice CAIN in the Bible when we made our name CAIN.
Wow.
Because we our last name is CAIN. So I've been Madison CAIN my whole life. Mm-hmm. And then we were like, let's be the CAIN's Trio, which is such a long name.
The CAIN's Trio.
The CAIN's Trio.
Was that it?
No. So then we moved to, just the CAINs. And then that will be, and then like once we decided, this was like when we were going to this church, we started leading worship. They asked us to lead worship. And it was just so much fun and so much joy. And it took all the pressure of trying to be somebody, and we were just worshiping.
Yeah.
Yes. And so we met our now manager in the crowd. He was just like, help me understand something. Wow. I see you on Sunday and you're so full of joy and you're so free. And then I hear your music and it's so like hard and sad and heavy. Like, have you considered doing Christian music? So we prayed about it, And I mean, I probably one of the first times in my life I heard the Holy Spirit say, like, this is what you're supposed to do.
Wow.
And so when we decided to do that, I'm like, let's just be like CAIN. It'll be so much more simple. And
oh my gosh.
And that has just been one of the most controversial choices because people are just like, why would you pick CAIN, the murderer?
It simple.
I was like, oh, it'll be so chic.
Have y'all like studied, like, can y'all make any analogy as to why the CAIN in the Bible and this? Have y'all come up with
we're
that?
redeeming that.
Okay.
So
after this podcast, we're gonna go open the Bible. We're gonna redeem this. We're gonna make this into a message.
Yes, and just be like, we have all fallen short of the glory of God.
Oh, it's more than fallen short.
Okay, we have all had a brother or a sister that we want to just knock out.
Yep, with a rock.
and
it's even better. Y'all are siblings too.
Oh my gosh.
Like
the Wikipedia page is like,
like you try to Google CAIN rise up and it's somebody just absolutely hitting someone else in the head with a rock.
So I think we would have maybe picked a different name if we could go back. I don't know.
I don't know.
But some people's band names are weird anyways. Like even if CAIN is like
it is chic. If you know it's your last name, then it's like, well, yeah, and it makes sense. But it's just like the Christian band with the siblings, and it happens to be CAIN.
we really should. There is a message in this, and we should.
I think there is. We're gonna find it.
We also had some trouble. So as soon as we released music, Spotify got some things confused, and or other like platforms got it confused. So there was a black metal group called CAIN that was like screaming and like pig noises and like really like heavy metal, and one of the song titles was called Angels and Demons. So I think people at first thought it was us because they're like, oh, Christian, and it's like, wow, this is really spiritual, and it's just screaming.
So at least you can laugh at it.
Lots of highs and lows.
Here's the thing. Even despite that, y'all have made it, and it's amazing. And like, I mean, truly, people love y'all. I'm not kidding. Whenever I said that, I had a ton of people say CAIN, and I was like, well, yeah, obviously, like y'all's music is just really reaching people. And it's funny because Honey is my daughter. She's just really funny kid, and she's like, she loves to dance. That song "Little Boo Thing" is like her favorite song ever. So every time we get in the car, she's like, "Mom, play Little Boo Thing." And so I was trying to expand her songs choices, and I was like, what is that other thing going on Reel? Like I've been seeing kids do it, and I like Googled the lyrics, and it was "I'm so blessed," and I didn't even know that was y'all's song. No joke. Like this was like 2 weeks ago. Yes, and
cool.
I took her. I was like, did you know this song is the CAIN band song? And I was like, that's crazy. And then all this worked out for y'all to do the podcast. So it was actually like kind of really sweet. So y'all are, it's really cool because I didn't know that y'all had, more somber songs to start with, but now your songs are so fun to the point that I'm like, I want my daughter to dance to the song because it's like
she likes
and the reason I noticed it is because it has that Little Boo Thing vibe and joy, but it's scripture, it's truth, and that's why I was like, I want her to like cover herself in that, not even knowing it was a Christian song, not knowing it was y'all's song. I'm just like, it was just trendy, and so tell me about just y'all's writing process now and just I guess that joy that you're adding and the fun and the freedom. Your whole latest album, Jesus Music, the colors are so vibrant. It's just totally opposite than what you described, being in a bar singing about sad songs. So where does that come from? I don't know about y'all, but having 2 kids now, the grocery store has actually become a place that is just hard to get to. It's hard to get the kids out of the car, do all the things. And there, especially during this season with the holidays coming around, there are so many things to look forward to at this point of the year. But one thing I'm definitely not looking forward to is navigating a grocery store during the holidays with toddlers. Just no. And that is why I love Hungry Root. It's the easiest way to get fresh, high quality groceries delivered right to your door. And y'all know how much I love a good delivery service. All you gotta do is take a fun short quiz so Hungry Root can get to know you, your goals, and what you like to eat. They might ask what kind of flavors you like or what appliances you normally cook with. And once they get your info, they can start building a one-of-a-kind cart just for you. Hungry Root will give you some suggestions based on your taste, which you can take or you can choose whatever you want. You'll pick from fresh produce, high quality meat and seafood, pantry staples, healthy snacks, sweets, and more. They even have seasonal favorites like fall right now. And I know a lot of you are craving that kind of stuff. I know I am. I actually just got the most delicious pumpkin spice protein shake from Hungry Root that I'm obsessed with. I have been getting it in every box since I tried it. It's so good. We just actually got a grocery delivery yesterday, and Christian was like, yo, this is the best box ever. And he just thought that Hungry Root picked those items. I was like, oh no, I picked those items. Thank you, boo. So we love our Hungry Root. We love talking about who picked what or if they picked it for us. But Hungry Root knows that sometimes your groceries get shoved to the back of the fridge and forgotten, which is the worst because then you just feel wasteful. But that's why they offer thousands of easy ideas that you can put all your groceries to good use for before they just get stuck in the back of the fridge. So here's the best part, fam. Everything that Hungry Root offers follows a simple standard. It's got to taste good, be quick to make, and contain whole, trusted ingredients. I love that Hungry Root is helping me spend less time shopping and more time enjoying healthy food with my family and the food that we love. So right now, Hungry Root is offering my listeners 30% off your first time delivery and free veggies for life. Y'all, that is a great deal. So go to hungryroot.com/woe to get 30% off your first delivery and get your free veggies. That's hungryroot.com/woe, and don't forget to use our link so that they know that we sent you.
Well, so that, I feel like that is what we wanted to describe. And they were like, hey, did you realize how many of your songs are victory based? Because we grew up with the mind. I mean, mom and dad were really particular about the words that come out of your mouth. Yeah. Like your words create worlds. So you don't need to say, I'm scared to death, because you don't need to speak death over your life. Well, so I feel like there's a way to sing scripture and it still be a little bit more somber, and that has its place. But we were wanting to write about overcoming faith. Like, yes, he can, really cool. Meaning that I believe that he can do it. Great. I'm so blessed. Rise up. Just trying to get people to believe about the victory they have in Jesus.
Yes. We have like, it's cool to get to bring in your own personal testimony. Like, Yes, He Can was written, like, I have a big healing testimony. I had like kidney failure in 2015. God restored me from that completely. Windows Down was written, Logan's wife, Emily, she's 5 years sober right now. And just all the awesome. Amazing stuff that God's done in her life. I honestly thought that story songs and stuff like that would only work for country music. So almost like in a way I was like, well, how are we going to, like, worship song, you know, how can we include all this? And then we've gotten to do it all and more because we like made the best change ever in our career. So
that's so cool. I want to talk about that moment in your career where you did feel like, okay, maybe we should just give up. Like, maybe this is it. Maybe we move back home. Because I do feel like so many people walk through that where they go for something and they face the embarrassment. I certainly did that. Like, our first LO tour did not go well, like, at all. I was, young and I was super excited, and we went out on the road and we had to like not go to two locations. We had to cancel them because we didn't sell enough tickets. And then it just it wasn't successful. And honestly, it was pretty embarrassing, in a lot of ways. And some of it was successful and a lot of it wasn't. And I realized after that, like, I had to change so much. We had to change so much on the back end. I had to like get out of the kind of label that I was a part of. Like, it was like so complex, and it just kind of made me want to go like, okay, maybe I just won't do this. Like, maybe this was not right, But then it was around that time that I didn't go to church, went to a church conference, and my life just really changed there. And I felt like the Lord just really gave me direction for what was next and like encouragement to keep going, and specifically what that looked like. Now, not the whole plan, I was actually just talking to someone about this the other day. The verse is like, your word is a light unto my feet, lamp unto my path. I might have said the opposite, but I was talking to a friend about that, and she was saying, the lamps, like the oil lamps in the Bible that they're referencing in all these different verses, they weren't like big lamps. They were literally these lamps that would just light your next step. They would
wow.
just light like the very next step you're about to take. And she said, I'm going to get you one so that you can actually see how big it is. So my friend just sent me this last week. It is the tiniest little oil lamp. And it's one of those like actual ones from the Bible. It has its like certificate thing from Israel and stuff. And I was like, wow, I never knew that. Like when I'm picturing the lamps from the story of like the 10 bridesmaids or virgins, you're thinking of like, they're lighting like big oil lamps, like welcoming, but it's just a little lamp that's like lighting your next step. And I think with God, like a lot of times that is what it looks like. It really is lighting your next step. It's like just enough to keep you walking forward. And I mean, the significant thing is that the light's not out. It's like you're supposed to keep walking. You're supposed to keep going. And I'm going to give you like the whole picture. I'm not going to tell you it's CAIN and it's going to be Christian music and it's going to be touring around the world with your whole family. Like you're not going to see that yet, but you're going to take the next step. And I think about that in my life. And now I'm like, wow, I would have never known that was going to turn into podcasting and conference and a team and a people and book. Like I would have never known that. But it was enough to keep me going to the next step. And so in that time, like thinking back, how did y'all get past one, like that feeling of embarrassment to keep going? And how did you know, like, it was time to stop doing country music, but not time to quit? Or did you know that?
Oh, that is such a great question. And I remember feeling distinctly there were two things that happened with country. We had started working with a lot of people. So there was a lot of people that would need to go tell that we are quitting or we're doing Christian music. And I didn't know if they would be impressed by us doing Christian music. So there was just this feeling of like letting other people down that it invested. We'd also spent all the money that we had to create this new project that we were about to release when we felt like God told us to just bury it.
Whoa.
And so now it's not life-changing money, but at the time it was all we had. And so, but it's crazy that God is still working on this part of my heart even now because we just released Jesus music and I can't help but feel this need to wait to celebrate to see how it was received by everyone. And I really think that God, I don't know, it's just that's a fear of man thing. It's not, that is not God breathed to wait to celebrate until you find
until you see how people approve it. Yeah, that's
good. That's not where we wrote the songs. We wrote the songs through scripture and with each other and in the private place. And so you can go ahead and celebrate that. So I can tell that that's the truth. When you get a little chill on your leg, the Holy Spirit, that's how he tells me that it's just like
truth. Because so many people, especially on social media, live their life like that. It's only good if it gets the most likes. Or it's only good if people reshare it. And like, it's only good if man approves it. But that is not the way that you're called to live your life. You know, like
and the fruit
you're not doing it for the approval of man, but really out of obedience to what the Lord put on your heart. And yes, the fruit, that does not last. And I think that's why people, like, not to be too on the nose, but like, that's why people get so away from their original selves, you know? It's because they are having, if you're going to go for the approval of man, you're having to conform to what man likes constantly because trends come and go and styles come and go and all this stuff. And I just think back to, I was telling someone the other day who asked me advice on wanting to start a social media, like she has a social media page, but wanting to grow it. And so here's my encouragement. I actually have it on the wall right there. Be an influencer worth following. And I'm like, don't just be an influencer for the sake of being an influencer. Don't go try to hack the algorithm of Instagram. Don't go try to like build your following because you see this person doing that and this person doing that. Like just keep posting more, you know, just like that's it. Like post more, like post more about who you are, share more from your heart. Don't go try to be what you've seen another model do. Just do more of what you are and what you're already doing. And if it catches on, then great, so be it. It says in Psalms, like, unless the Lord builds the house, the laborers labor in vain. And so I just, that's such a real thing. And I love that you said it because there is this feeling of like, okay, this is only a success if it hits this amount of views, or it's only a success if people like it. But it's like, no, it's a success if you are obedient to what God put on your heart. And maybe that is for a smaller amount of people. But like making a big impact on a small amount of people can actually be even more significant than making, it actually is more significant than making not a lot of impact on a large amount of people, you know, an insignificant impact. And so I love that you said that. That's truth.
Thank you. And that is such a great question. And it's something, but so at the time, just hearing that still small voice of the Holy, this is the quote that I heard in my head. This is the way. walk in it. And I kind of just got, it just sort of rang like a bell. So it's like now it's an obedience thing. And so, but
it was like different for all three of us, but I'm so glad that all three of us all have a relationship with God so that the confirmation was easy.
Yeah.
I think my first reaction was like, I just silently cried because I think we grew up listening to Christian music only. And I think there's a part that like, if this doesn't go well in my favorite genre of music, like that I just can't take another layer of hurt like that. So I couldn't decide if I was almost like, I just need to walk away maybe.
You're scared to try because you're scared to fail before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think my favorite thing is that whatever anyone that's listening, like whatever your career path or the next thing that you want to try, we just got together and like by faith, like we just started writing a song about Jesus and we were like, let's just see if we even enjoy this. And I think all three of us were like getting choked up by like the words that we were writing because we had no idea that something we thought would be so limiting ended up like the sky was the limit because we knew so much about Jesus and what maybe he wanted to say to us, what he wanted to say through us. And so, it's almost like you just got to go for it. And you got to go for it when you don't have confirmation that it's going to work.
Yeah.
You cannot, like God's not, I just don't think it's going to be guaranteed. Because it like maybe you get it once in your lifetime, but after that, everything else is like, you got to go for it. You
that's
don't
where faith comes in.
Exactly.
Y'all, I can tell you, sleep makes the biggest difference in the next day, does it not? When you have a good night's sleep, you're going the next day solid. And when you don't, it's just a little bit of more of a challenge, okay? You get an opportunity to receive the Lord's grace. Well, friends, let's get some better sleep. Hatch is here to help us get the best sleep ever. Think of the Hatch Restore 2 as your bedside bestie, your ally in rest. It's an innovative all-in-one combination of sound machine, light, and alarm clock all rolled into one. The design is beautiful and perfect for your bedside table. When we're well rested, we can be the best versions of ourselves, which is why the Hatch Restore 2 was engineered to help you form healthy sleep habits for life. It is definitely a game changer. Your Hatch will teach your body when it's time to sleep and time to get up with gentle, light, and sound cues. Your Hatch will also coach you through meditations and mindfulness exercises that transform your sleep rituals into something restful instead of hectic or messy. Great sleep can't be forced, but it can be learned. Hatch offers white, pink, and brown noise as well as other sleep sounds inspired by nature. And who likes to be woken up by a crazy loud alarm clock that basically scares you out of bed? Not me, not a good way to start. Your Hatch Restore 2 will wake you up gently with a sunrise alarm clock that supports your body's natural rhythm. Christian and I love our Hatch. We've become definitely spoiled to having our Hatch in our home right beside our bed. But I actually just got my little travel Hatch that I take for Haven and also us because we love just the sound effects that Hatch has. We like pink noise and it's something that just helps everyone in our family sleep. Also, the sunrise effect really is cool because it does help that natural rhythm. You kind of like start to wake up, but you're not jolted out of bed. So we're big fans of Hatch. Right now, Hatch is offering our listeners $20 off your purchase of a Hatch Restore 2 and free shipping at hatch.co/woe. Sleep deeply and wake up gently with Restore 2. Go to hatch.co/woe, WHOA, to get $20 off and free shipping. That's hatch.co/woe. Faith is the confidence in things you hope for. And assurance of the things that you cannot see. Right. It's like that verse is so quotable. But then like think about that for a second. It's like it's what you hope for. It's what you cannot see. Yes. And those things are it's actually very hard to step into things that you hope for because what if it doesn't work and what if it fails? It's hard to step into things you cannot see because I've never seen this done before. So who do I look to? But then that's the amazing thing is you can only look to the God. You know, that's like your creator for your creativity. And I love how you said like you thought it was going to be limiting, but it was actually the thing that opened up the doors to so much freedom. Not only that, but it was such a gift to the Christian music industry because y'all brought something to it that isn't normal. It isn't common. It's not what every other song sounds like. And so that's the beauty of like your originality stepping into a place and not limiting yourself to what like the social media analogy, what every influencer looks like or what every Christian artist looks like or what every you fill in the blank looks like. But what did God put in you that goes in this space? And like today I was listening to y'all's album. I was like, this is so good because it's so different than everything else. Yeah, it really does make you want to dance, but it's so victorious. But then you're like crying because it's talking about kids and motherhood, and you're like, oh yeah, I tended to, I can't even handle it. Like it's so good, y'all. What y'all are doing is so awesome. Okay, so y'all had your time of 5 years of hard. Yeah. Y'all are now walking into a very fun time of your life, and you also just filmed a TV show. Okay, so let's just throw that in the mix.
Please.
So tell me about this.
We actually need to interview you so we can.
Okay, flip the script. Interview me.
Yes.
How do we do this?
I just have so much respect for you, and there's just so much more that goes into filming a show than I had in mind. I was like, we have a lot going on. People just follow us around, but you have to kind of talk about everything that's happening, and you have to go. I mean, there's just hours, unlimited hours of filming, but I knew that no matter what, I wanted to document this time in our lives. I mean, when you think about...
How did you feel like now is the time to do it?
So we had sat down. It was, the Kayla Fan Awards that you were at. We sat down that day and we were like, okay, if we don't make a plan for something, then it's easy to get kind of on the hamster wheel of doing shows where you go ahead and book them a year out and you just keep doing shows. What other parts of our lives do we want people to see? And so we kind of thought, all right, we'll film stuff on our phones and we'll put together a YouTube series. And then that sort of just turned into more of like, oh, actually, let's do a show. Let's see if anyone will watch. So we didn't watch it until everyone did. And so we did a little premiere and
edits. I was like,
oh my gosh.
So I love it. I think it's so fun.
So how can people find it?
It's on the TBN app.
Awesome.
And it's called Chasing CAIN. And it's just as colorful and vibrant. And the first episode tells our story. And then the second episode tells about a time where Logan lost his voice and my husband almost had to step in. And so it should be, and it's rated G. I remember someone.
I didn't even know the rating.
Well, someone was just like, is this going to be appropriate for kids? I'm like, if it isn't, then you need to stop listening.
Again, they're basing it off the name. They're like,
this is CAIN.
Oh my gosh, so violent.
They're like, definitely. So,
they haven't captured a true CAIN sibling fight yet.
Actually, they did. Remember when you guys were in the studio and
y'all haven't seen the episode?
Oh gosh,
that made it in.
Wait, which? Oh
Remember,
no!
So there was a little time in the studio.
Is it me? It's me being so mean.
Logan was being a little bit barking at you, and they caught it, and I was like, "Well, that's real."
Well, you know what? That's so funny because I was gonna ask, doing this as siblings, y'all have had to make a lot of big decisions together, and I'm just picturing myself in this scenario, me and my siblings, having to work that close together. We actually do work together in a lot of ways, and we all work in the same place, but we don't have to make decisions together. So in those moments of changing the band name and who normally leads those moments, how does that work in y'all's dynamic?
Traumatic. It is so
So we have a voting process because there's 3 of us. So we really will we'll discuss. But then at the end of the day, Madison's just like, well, I have a different opinion than you. And I'm like, well, I have a different opinion than you. And then we're like, put it up for a vote. And then best 2 out of 3 wins.
So you talk about it. You talk about it. And then ultimately the phrase that we've been saying to each other a lot is I hear where you're coming from. I disagree.
Yeah.
And so then that's when you take it to vote. And it really
I got voted down recently and it's it's sad.
It is sad. And I was just crying about it because it's I distinctly know what Logan wants to do. I distinctly know what Taylor wants to do. And either way I vote is going to affect them profoundly.
That is really hard.
But we have to move forward.
So it's the third person, there's 2 that have a a opinion and the third person.
A swing vote.
Yeah. Wow.
Most time we'll just put your hand up. I mean, we'll just kind of vote.
Have you ever had to bring the parents involved?
Oh yeah, have we had to have a tiebreaker?
Well, you know what's interesting is I try not to talk to mom and dad about it until we've come to some sort of agreement. But every now and then mom will call and just be like, So I talked to Logan a little bit, and I could tell Mom's feeling it out.
I can always tell when my mom's working it. Like, my sister called me there and said, "Did you tell Mom about the situation?" She's like, "I knew you did because the way she was wording stuff.
She didn't write you out. She
was like, you're not slick. We know." Like, that is so funny.
We're so close to our parents, and Mom, what is so awesome about her is she wants to hear the story from each perspective. So I'll call her after a big event and she's like, "Okay, Taylor told me this, but I want to hear how you experienced it." And so it's just so nice.
I love that so much. So did y'all both have your kids like in the same month, right? In August?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Wow, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
So I gotta say, I can't say that my son was unplanned, but maybe like loosely planned, so to where if you look, let's just say if you look at the calendar, it's like we should be all go for no baby. And then here we are. So
okay, I get what you're going.
So I FaceTime Taylor and I'm just sobbing. I'm like, what are we going to do? We're supposed to go on fall tour. Like, I'm just freaking out. And then I FaceTime Mom and she's like, "Wait, why are you telling me this way?" I'm like, "This isn't a reveal. I'm trying to keep it together. I'm having a breakdown. Like, so I need support."
Oh my gosh.
And then so Taylor's just like, "Listen, like, God's got us," and was just like encouraging me. And then she calls me 2 weeks later and was like, "You are not going to believe this, but I'm pregnant."
Wow.
I was like pregnant, like consoling her. So
and you didn't
really
even know?
Crazy. No, didn't even know.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. That's actually how me and my sister-in-law were. So mine was also unplanned like that. I was like, okay, wow. My sister-in-law, we were on a trip together and she comes down and she tells her she's pregnant. It was so exciting and all that stuff. And I'm like not thinking at all that I'm pregnant or trying to be pregnant or anything. And I'm just like celebrating them. Then 2 weeks later, I had this dream that my sister-in-law, Mary Kate, came up to me and she said, "You're pregnant too," and gave me like a big hug. And it just felt really real.
Oh my
to the point that I woke up, I was like, that was just like a really real feeling. And then I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to take a pregnancy test. I had no symptoms. I didn't think I was pregnant. So I got a pregnancy test. Christian's not even home or anything. I didn't even tell him or anybody was doing this. I took the pregnancy test. I walk out the room thinking, why did I even do that? Like, this is so dumb. Yeah. So I just had this dream. I don't even have symptoms. I did my makeup, went back by to really just throw it away. And I was like,
it was
what? Bright. Yes, it was like not even like a faint line. It was like positively pregnant. And I just like freaked out. I was like,
were you like scared?
I was so excited. I was crying and laughing at the same time because I was like so shocked and so excited, but like, what in the world?
The dream almost like prepped you.
Yes, it did prep me. It was so crazy. And I had an interview like 10 minutes later, like unrelated. Like I just happened to have an interview. It was like E-News. It was like a bigger interview. And I texted my assistant, said, "Can you push it back 5 minutes? Something came up," just so I could like pull myself together. Yes. So I like do the interview. And then at the end, he's like, "So when do y'all think y'all would start a family?" And I probably got so awkward. I need to go find the interview. I was like, I don't know.
Obligatory question. You've got a lot of family members that have had kids. I wonder what your forecast is for family. Not that you have to. That's obviously an annoying question, but we were just wondering.
That is the question that I get every day of my life. Like every time, I mean, it's so funny. But like, I'll be like, "Mom, I have to tell you something." And then she'll be there and I will just watch her take a deep breath. "Okay, what are you going to tell me?" And I'm like, "I'm not pregnant." Like every single time we talk, she thinks I'm pregnant. We'll see. I'll just surprise everybody when that happens. Like, you know, like, I don't know. Maybe soon. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe right now.
I know. It was crazy, but it was like so sweet. So Mary Kate and I got to be pregnant together and it was really fun. And our girls are a month apart because she was 2 weeks early. I was a week late. But it was like, it's just really fun. So seeing y'all is really sweet. And, you know, this whole podcast is called Sisters and Friends. We are big on sisterhood. So give us some sister advice because y'all do everything together.
We do.
Parents together, you tour together, you sing together. When you think about sisterhood, what are some things that you felt have like kept your sisterhood strong?
Oh,
great.
That is so great. I feel like
clear communication.
And I just feel like Taylor is so supportive. Even if like I'm just falling apart, I'll just be like, okay, so I just, recently I just met someone that was kind of, I would say sort of a hero, and I was so awkward and just started like playing with her hair and was just like way too touchy. And Taylor was just like, you know what? She probably liked that. And was just very, like, just so.
She's your number one. You're the hype girl.
Yeah. Hype girl.
Helping me out when really.
If somebody treats you weird, that's because they're weird.
Yes.
You're so fun. You're so cool and normal.
That's good.
That's what she's like, if you feel weird after talking to someone, you never make people feel weird. So they're weird.
That's good. Oh, I love that.
Nice.
But I think there's something too, like with your sister. It's probably like if you have a sister that's just a friend, it's probably harder because we've grown up and like you just fight to a certain level where you know what the other wants, what the other one's thinking. And gosh, I feel like Steven, my husband's even been like, you guys act like you're all married. Like, like we're just so close. But
I've had to learn in some ways, sometimes with your sister, you can read them so well that you're not allowing them to process their emotions. Like it's like I can already tell you're not feeling a certain way about it, but that really is your private thoughts. Like I should allow you to feel how you feel and then say it when you want to, instead of being like, oh, I can tell you don't like that. And it's like, well, she can not like it and then come around. You know, it's sort of unfair when you know each other too well.
So well.
It's like you're not giving people their own boundary or their own space to process. If you're just like, I'm reading your face.
It makes you feel so good when you both like the same things or when your natural instinct is to do the same thing. And if theirs is a little different, it's almost like I would take it personally. But it's like, no, that she's her own person. Her own personality. She does things differently.
And the differences really do end up becoming a strength as you work those things out and as you collab. Because sometimes it's probably a vote on like, we're actually doing your plan and not your plan. But then I've seen like a lot of times when it is either me and Christian or me and Steph, we work so closely together. It's like it ends up not being either of ours. It ends up being both of them together, in a stronger way. So I think like that's the beauty of sisterhood and why we're so big on like sister and friend and why we say like sister and not just friends is because sisterhood, and this is not just for people who are like biologically sisters, but sisterhood is so much even deeper than just other friendships because you can argue with each other. You can disagree. And yet at the end of the day, you know, like, I love you. I have your back. I'm for you. So you can be like super funny and so weird and goofy with each other to the point that you look at each other, you're like, you're crazy and I love you. Or you can be like so emotional and crazy crying and like, I don't even know why I feel this way and be like, but I love you and I see you. So it's the place that you can be like the most real version of you, whether it's your highest of high or your lowest of low, and know that you're loved and accepted. And so like y'all give each other that gift every day. And hopefully teaching people that like, hey, you can disagree with people and still be their very best friend. You could have a different thought than someone has or see it a different perspective. But at the end of the day, still love them just the same. And I think sometimes in our culture, though, it's like this cancel culture where it's like, oh, if we disagree, then we can't be friends. If you go to a place that I wouldn't have gone to, then we can no longer be in relationship. I have to unfollow you. But it's like, no, we can do different things. We can live a little bit of different ways. And
there's
still
something that you can see, like, and I don't know if you see it with your two girls yet, but like I see it with my Stevie and then Logan's daughter, River. Like her son, they all interact very peacefully. Yeah. But something about the two girls, it turns vicious quickly. And I'm like, that is in their nature. Like they are not even taught that. They're not old enough yet. So I think there's something even spiritual about it where it's like, I think the enemy wants to separate girls from being close, and almost like we have to work harder to love each other and be close, have great girlfriends. Even when you're married, have awesome girls that surround you, because the natural is just to be like, oh, she's prettier than me, or she's better at this.
You have to truly train your mind. Like, I'm not competing with my sister. She's not
competing.
Because I think with your sister, one thing that is cool is like, if they're literally your sister, like y'all do, and me and Bella feel this way, it's like, you don't really feel like competitive with your sister. Like, you're cheering her on. You're like, no, you're awesome. That's not awkward. That was cute. Like, you know, if that's her loss, you know, you're the best friend I ever have, you know? So you're always gonna like cheer your sister. But when it's another girl, then it's like all of a sudden a threat, you know? It's like, they're prettier, they're this, they're smarter, they're doing better, they're more successful. So you have to be like, no, they're my sister. I celebrate them. Their win is my win. Their victory is my victory.
There's room for all of us.
There's room for all of us. My mom always says, all ships rise together. Like, one person's success doesn't take from the other. And like, genuinely meaning that and like cheering people on in that. So that's like the beauty of sisterhood, is like, you're not competing with your sister, but we see that in our family. So Honey and Ella are a month apart, and then John Shepherd the little boy in the mix, he is, 2 years different, but it's so funny because he can just do no wrong in Honey's eyes. I mean, literally, like, he slid down the slide and basically attacked her because he landed right on her and like stepped on her getting up, and she's like, I'm okay. If Ella like looks at her and she's like, she's gonna hit me, like it's like this whole like thing, and I'm like, he just tackled you and she looked at you, and so it is in our nature. And I think about that like in I think it's Philippians chapter 4, and I might be wrong, but it's the verse where Paul basically calls out these two women and he's like, stop fighting, like we're on the same page. So and like even in the Bible, like back then, Paul's like, would you two quit and get on the same page, because we have a gospel to preach, and I need to like stop arguing. So it is in our nature, but that doesn't mean live that way. That doesn't mean stay that way. Fight it and like be better, because when sisters are together, I mean, y'all have created such a beautiful thing together. CAIN wouldn't be what it is without y'all doing it together, and so it's beautiful. I've already learned so much from y'all in just one little sit down, and truly, like, I know y'all are doing TV and all the things, and I'm a sister to call if you ever need anything. But thank y'all for taking the time to stop by and be on the podcast. This is a true joy.
It's like a dream come true for us.
Yes, thank you.